My kid got to watch our friend Martin. You want it? You gonna take it? I'm gonna take it. You breathe heavy. Welcome to another edition of Spot the Ball podcast. I am your boy Willie the Third. This is my guy,
Ron Wells.
And this month, my guy is unapologetically black.
I'm blickety black, y'all.
I'm getting ready for baseball season. You know,
Oh,
I would never. This man asked me, "Have you ever been for Braves?" Not one time.
Yo, I'm just telling you right now. The Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs, do our chop, right? And they do the most unrhythmic experience of the tomahawk chop I've ever seen in the history of tomahawk chopping. But they are one of the loudest stadiums in the building. And we just need to tell you right now, let's recap on who was right and who was wrong this weekend.
Okay.
So Philly and San Francisco, I had Philly.
Yeah, I had Philly.
But you had to be convinced.
But see, I remember this. You said it, and I said, "Let me not go against the grain. Let me stick to my chops. I'm a defensive guy. We all know this." So I'm like, "You made a pretty strong case, and you make strong cases all the time." So I'm like, "Let me ride with my guy this time." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go with Philly and the defense." And did they ever come out there and like show a dominant showing? San Francisco offense has been like. You know,
but what did we say? Philly had a bunch of sacks. They had literally 20 sacks more than the next closest team. They had double the pressures of anybody in the NFL after them.
Big facts.
And Hassan Reddick came screaming off that right tackle edge. They blocked him with a tight end. And there goes Brock Purdy's little throwing arm. All pretty did there. And it was a fumble too. Strip sack fumble. He's out of the game. And now you're not down to your second string, not your third string, but now you're on your fourth string. And Josh Johnson got more jobs in the NFL than, you know what? That's when you know it's Black History Month. When a black quarterback can keep getting backup quarterback money throughout 14 teams. He done hoodwinked, bamboozled, telegraphed.
Veteran leadership in the locker room. Stop it. Let's cut it out.
Didn't he play Saturday at one point?
It's valuable. It's valuable. Listen, you can never.
I ain't stopping a black man from having a job.
Come on, get your money, my man. Man, I don't know, man. You can tell we kind of interjected today, man. It's been a good day. Feeling like it's a good day. And no, like we said, we went back until we, spoke on a Dallas, defensive front that got pressure on, the San Francisco 49ers. And we said, okay, well, if statistically wise, the Eagles defense is better and gets more pressure and sacks than the Dallas Cowboys defense, then that means the 49ers are in for a very long day, and they were. That wasn't a ball game, it wasn't a competition. McCaffrey, bright spot of the day, running the ball that first half and bouncing off tackles, taking end zone. That was it, though. Nothing more, nothing less. And the Eagles more so went with balanced offensive attack as they normally do, and they went and got a dub. It's not much to talk about that game because it wasn't really a game. So we can go ahead and reel it into where my man was right. I was wrong. I picked the Bengals. I like the offense. And again, it's good offense, good defense. Those two defenses put on their better showing yesterday because two offenses that is very prominent and potent, and those defenses kept each other at bay. So that game, as much as it was last year when they met up, those teams, they are very known for their offense, but the defense is come and step up and literally stifle it. And they did. 23-20 ball game. We kind of was going through pre-show, and we'll start there with the unnecessary roughness, late hits call. We didn't want to go too deep in the pre-show because we want to give y'all the juiciness. My opinion, and I'm not saying that this changed the outcome of the game because this call on Joe Mixon on the sideline, in my opinion, yes, he got late hit, still got the first down, still when he got the touchdown, so it doesn't affect the game. I'm more so arguing the integrity of the call, that if you're not going to call it on that end, you have to call it on the other end with Mahomes. But at the same time, we do understand Mahomes making $500 million, almost. He's making $500 million, and he's a quarterback to start. One of the faces of the league, so he's going to get that call regardless. And I'm not sitting here saying it's not right. I wasn't the right call because it was. He had 2 feet out. As he pointed out to me, the cornerback was sitting there in a broke down stance. Like, I'm not going to touch him.
Okay.
But Osai came and did it on the back end.
My my take on the Mixon thing, and I said it pre-show, but I'm gonna say it here again, just to start off. Mixon was out of bounds. Yes, it was a late hit. As egregious as the Mahomes hit, I don't think so. I just think that he took a harder hit going out of bounds. My only thing is with the Mixon hit is I'm playing the result of the play. He's down at the 1.5 yard line. If they call that penalty on first down, which it was, it's half the distance to the goal, and you're still on first down, and you get a half a yard, or 3/4 of a yard, and you're basically going in from the half-yard line as opposed to the 1.5 yard line.
That's all factual.
So
I still think it was. I think Mixon was more egregious.
No, Mixon's hit was harder.
Okay,
but Mahomes was more out of bounds, is what I was
saying.
Okay,
man. Fact. But we can't agree. We can't agree he sold it, right? We can't agree he sold it.
He's running full speed on half an ankle.
That's what happened.
Okay, we've seen Mahomes run in the past. Am I correct?
No,
He's not like the most agile, but he is fast.
He's not the most smooth floor
runner. No, but when he's moving very quickly, and it's basically a faster version of Jameis Winston running. Like, it ain't the most graceful, but it's he gonna get some yards.
That at 3rd and 24. Against the Falcons.
Yeah,
stop
he
playing
did
with
it in
Jameis.
college versus Oklahoma State.
Stop playing with Jameis.
Like,
stop playing with him. Hey, Jameis, come back.
Brady
gone. You did what you can do.
Jameis, come back.
Go ahead and come back, my boy.
Yeah, he may make that move. And my thing was, yes, Mixon took the harder hit, but he wasn't as far out of bounds as Mahomes. And what makes it more egregious for me was, like you mentioned earlier, you have another Bengals player that could have tagged Mahomes sooner, like a half step sooner, and he's looking at Osai as he's pushing him out of bounds, like, what are you doing? And I feel bad for Osai because on that particular drive, he had a sack and a TFL.
Yeah, big plays, and
he was getting held on the play that happened.
This is where I was I said I will say for the show, but on the same play on Leonard Brown's side,
there's a
clear hole,
and
it's not called. So for me, in my mindset, he's frustrated because, again, at that moment in the junction of the game, that is a big call. Some things like that, if you're gonna call that play because it's gonna, the throwing roughing the passer because it affects the play or is in rules. You cannot hold your flag and not call the holding on that end. And we can argue, as we always argue, that's what I'm going to play.
Oh no!
But how clear that was, it has to be called. So that's why I told you. I said, when you actually the NFL's rigged, I said I would never say it. And I'm not going to say it now. But it was a wild game within the whole blowing the play dead because of the clock, as you explained to me, on the 3rd and 9. But then Eli Apple,
oh my God,
does what Eli Apple does, and
oh my God.
And he had a couple of bonehead penalties. That's why I hurt for Osai, but we're not talking about the real culprit that really extends drive and did penalties. Really, Eli Apple, and he talks so much,
and he gets bailed out by the rest of the defense a lot of the times. So, it's like
Cancun on 3, Cop on 3. That's what he been saying everybody else. Come on now, come on.
But look, in that game, Joe Burrow had several opportunities in the 4th quarter to take the lead on a tie game.
He did,
and he didn't.
He did, man.
And this is this is the first time he actually didn't come through and deliver. Like, it wasn't one of those, hey,
it was one of those 4th quarters.
Aaron Donald got me for a sack. It was, hey, you let Chris Jones wreak havoc on the interior line.
It's tough. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that Chiefs defense set the tone early.
Oh, no doubt.
They got to that man early. So I think that really dictated the flow of the game.
Because I told you about Spagnuolo in that
defense. But we already knew that the Bengals, you got new security guards. There's new security here. We're gonna protect you. Yeah. And we saw that early in the year. Y'all couldn't even protect. I'm trying to think of a real bad like metaphor for y'all. You can protect water in the sink with no holes in it. I ain't even think that's that bad, but it's something.
It's bad. It's really bad.
It was terrible. So, Chiefs earned it. I'm not taking nothing away from them because mistakes have been on both sides. Penalties were called on both sides where you can argue it shouldn't have been called or it should have been called. So that's I can't sit here and say the refs messed up this game. That's why I say I'm not going to sit here and say it's rigged, because at the end of the day, it's obviously going to be called on both sides in every single game. Mm-hmm. So, shout out to the Chiefs. They got it. I just don't like the Chiefs. That's why I went against them. And I'm going to go against them again in the Super Bowl. If we're going to talk about Super Bowl predictions. And listen, I really don't care for neither team. I really don't I don't care for the Eagles, and I don't care for the Chiefs. But it's Black History Month. We're going to full black quarterback on this one.
Oh, the full black.
We're going to full black. We're not going to
have. You see Mahomes' daddy after the game.
Yeah,
that is a black dad. That is a black man.
That is a full black man. Yes. For a use of great words. That is a very, very great black man. Yeah, man. Hey, man, we spoke on that Burrow, Pat. Man, I said Burrow. Ain't no way. I've never seen his dad in them. Interview. I've never seen the person. He might have had him. I've never seen him until Sunday night.
I hate to say it because I don't want to big dog you like that, but he's before your time.
100%.
He stopped playing probably before you. I think 97.
Man, look, NFL history is NFL history. It's a lot that I wasn't learning.
That's baseball history. His dad's a baseball player.
Big facts. I'm sorry, big facts.
So yeah, it's kind of hard to remember, but he was a talented baseball player.
That's facts. I ain't think I don't know what I thought he looked like.
But you ain't think that?
I ain't think he looked like that. Because I swear I saw one game they had his dad showing. He didn't look like that. Mm-hmm. So what happened over the last couple of years?
He looked like that.
I don't know. I'm not remembering correctly. I don't know. But
he looked like that.
No, we going with for the culture, I gotta go with Philly. Philly a couple years ago, Meat Mill, going out, Dreams and Nightmares. I'm not saying going out to Meat Mill locked up, but playing Dreams and Nightmares. Then they got Uzi bringing them out. Philly for the culture, man. And then again, I gotta go to defense. I'm sorry.
Here's my thing on this, right? As we go into this Super Bowl prediction thing, I picked Mahomes to win the Super Bowl when we were making our Super Bowl picks. Mm-hmm. I could not make a decision on who the world it was going to be playing because I was like, it's going to be either Philly or San Francisco or something like that at that time. So I kind of got this all the way right, but I always pick the Chiefs. I'm not just sticking with my pick just to stick with my pick. My reasoning is that I think not the Eagles' offensive line, although great, not taking anything away from them. My thing with the Eagles' offensive line versus the Chiefs' defensive line is that they finally are facing interior pressure. Like in their face. And Kelsey's going to have to play the game of his life.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's a Hall of Famer, but is he better than Chris Jones?
But see, and this is where I'm going to go with it. Because if we think about it, Philly runs the ball way better than Cincinnati does. Right. And then it was a very important factor. Tyler Boyd went out.
But is Mixon better than Miles Sanders?
I'm going to go with Mixon.
Exactly.
Consistency
and I understand that.
Missing, but
I know that Jalen Hurts is different.
I'm not going Jalen Hurts route with it because they do it by committee too.
Yeah, I know they do it game and Scott.
Yeah, and so it's always keeping them fresh. So you can't say I'm gonna wear down one because somebody will come in, he'll get his games, but he's more so that their receiver back. You know what I mean? And you can use each back, Gainwell, Boston Scott, Miles Sanders in the receiving back and in the receiving game, but also can run the rock. And again, like I say. Tyler Boyd went out. That's a big deal towards the back end of the game because then now you're doubling Chase, and then you're doubling Higgins, and you're making somebody else make a big play, and they did. So I'm not saying that that's an excuse for the Bengals because it wasn't because those boys made plays. They just didn't execute flawlessly down the stretch when they needed to. My thing is with the Eagles, they have that good running game, and praying for good health for both teams throughout the whole game. Chase is very dynamic. And I would say, no, I'm not going to say this because I'm not going to say Chase is better than any receiver on the Eagles team. I'm not because they play different styles. Arthur Warren is Arthur Warren. Devontae Smith is Devontae Smith. Great tight end. You feel me? Great running backs that can get out the backfield. Like they have the weapons. I can say they're the most complete. They're the most complete offense. So it's like I won't say that's kind of what I'm meaning. Like I know they got a good defense, but they have a complete offense. So they play complementary football. I'm going to give the Eagles the edge just for complimentary because what they can do on defensive end, and they play like they played throughout the year, being undefeated where it hurts and playing like they played in the playoffs,
I'm gonna give them the chance so that they're gonna take the win.
Okay.
I'm gonna take the win.
Here's my only rebuttal to that.
Mm-hmm.
With Mahomes this year, like even in the Bengals game, his only mistake was gripping the ball.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're getting consistent pressure on Mahomes anymore. I think this is the best offensive line.
Whoever did though.
Exactly. But this is the best offensive line
because of injuries. So when you're healthy, whoever got consistent pressure on Mahomes? Nobody.
But this is the best offensive line that defensive line is
going
to face all year. So the right tackle is good, the left tackle is good, the center is good, the guards are okay. Now, Pacheco can still run the rock. He still breaks one every game.
We talking about front four. We can't disrespect the Eagles front four either.
No, I'm not disrespecting them. This is just the best one.
It's Chris Jones. I give him that. That's the point you went with. As Kelsey having to hold his own against Chris Jones, but Fletcher Cox said, "Hold my beer." Like Fletcher Cox still is doing it at a high level.
He's doing it, but not that.
I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not.
No, I think as a collective,
it's a respect thing. Like both teams.
I agree with the collective.
It's like it's so matchup wise. It's so even.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna like it's so even. Offensive line.
My thing is, if you can't make Mahomes uncomfortable, he can win close.
But see,
he can win big.
I think.
I don't know.
My only pushback, I think the Philly secondary is
it's
more
really
consistent and better going across than the Bengals secondary. So I would give them that aspect, that respect too. And that aspect of what we did see the Chiefs offense do against that secondary, we're also facing a better secondary. So it's like both teams are facing some of the best position group that they would have seen all year. So it's one of those games that's like.
But have you seen Philly win close?
No, it's always been blowouts.
And and that's the thing. My thing is if Philly can't win close.
For the most part, it's always been blowouts.
Yeah.
Double check factor for the most part. It's 10 plus type thing. Besides the Eagles, the Lions early in the year.
Yeah.
The Lions, remember that game that surprised early in the year.
Yeah. I'm being mean right now thinking Mahomes has proven to win close. Even when he's lost close, he's also won close a lot. Mahomes has been on the stage before.
Right.
It's not his only loss is against Brady.
Right.
And again, his offensive line was decimated. They're going in about as healthy as you can be on their offensive line.
Right.
At the end of the day, if you're that healthy and you can't make him uncomfortable, like there's going to be issues. You got to make him uncomfortable. And you're giving him another 2 weeks
to get right
on that high ankle.
If we talking about close wins. And
close wins are less than 6 points.
But it's not great teams, right? So we talking about from what I'm seeing so far, Arizona's one close win, correct?
Not a great team.
Indiana's another close win.
Not a great
6
team.
points or less, right?
They're fourth pick in the draft. You just said the third and the fourth pick in the draft.
Not great. Chicago, that game, Chicago, Justin Fields just took off that.
Yeah.
He played
the number one pick in the draft.
So
those close games are the first pick, overall pick, the third overall pick, and the fourth overall pick.
And the Lions, like I said, the Lions first week where.
And the Lions have, I believe, the 18th pick.
So it's like again, you hear I'm telling you, it's when I said it's close, it's not good teams. It's always blowouts, but it's not when it's a close game. It's teams that they should have beaten by 10 points. So that's why I can get you. But we respect Mahomes in that aspect.
No, and
they're gonna get it done.
I'm respecting Philly,
but also to the point. I'm gonna say we're both arguing great points. So it's gonna be even. It's gonna be even.
It's gonna be one of those really close Super Bowls.
Right, and then Burrow is mobile. He's mobile, but he is not as mobile as Jim Hurts. And I feel like that's gonna be helpful. We talking about Mahomes extending plays, getting out of the pocket, and being effective with his feet.
Will Hurts want to run?
He's gonna have to. I don't care if he don't want to. If that line plays any way that they played against Cincinnati. You are going to have to. You're going to have to try to squeeze up the middle, take off the middle, extend the pocket, run out. You feel me? Little read option. You have to. You have to keep that defense up. You got to get them to the point where they cannot pin their ears back and go straight to you. Because that's literally what happened against Cincinnati. Yeah. Them boys pinned their ears back. And listen, big on big. And I like my bigs better than I like your bigs. And so we're going to get back there.
And one thing that the Chiefs have done over the last 2 years, when they didn't want to pay Ward, who was at the 49ers, is that they got younger. And those young players fought through adversity and have kind of grown up. Like, they caused a key interception towards the end of that game on T. Higgins after getting mossed by T. Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
They went
to HBCU products at that made that play.
Yeah.
Shout out to HBCUs, man.
So again, the Chiefs are not as proven on the back end as the Eagles, but they are long, they are fast, and they are young, and they
these teams are not proven for, they make up in other areas. That's why
you got really good leadership.
It has to be complementary. And again, we have
my thing is
known for offense, Henry known for offense, Eric Benning known for offense. So it's like, man, for what these teams are doing on the defensive
and
side,
Sirianni comes from that tree,
you know. So it's like, man,
like he's gonna know kind of the format that he's going. Like that's one of his disciples,
right?
So I'm just thinking to myself, Sirianni was under Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson was under Andy Reid. Sirianni was an analyst with Andy Reid over in Kansas City. It's not like he doesn't know what kind of format he wants to do with his offense, even though it's two different quarterbacks running basically a version of that system.
Yeah.
There's going to be a certain familiarity where you're going to have the student is going to have to become a teacher in order for you to beat Andy Reid. And as again, my thing is, if you can't make the only games Mahomes has lost is when he's uncomfortable.
Yeah. You got to push the
I mean, even when he's uncomfortable, those wins that you've gotten are like this. Because the Bucs game wasn't even a blowout.
But see that
it ended up being that because they got the stop late and then they let another late score.
Yeah.
You talking about 31-9. Before that, it was 23-9. And he was going in for a score to make it a one-possession game.
Mahomes is that quarterback. If you want to win, it's tough because you talk about Drew Brees, Brady, all the quarterbacks. You got to get pressure up the middle. Mahomes is that quarterback. You got to push that pocket and collapse until he can't get out. Like going left to right, it's Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
You got to try to make him as hard as it's hard. You know, it ain't easy. It's hard, but you got to keep him in and try to collapse it to where he can't move, where you fuss him because he's instinctively he's going to duck in, come back out, move this way, move that way. So you have to collapse him from the edges to so much to the point where he does not have that back alley lane or that lane to get up out of there. If he get up out of there, at that point, if we play a man,
you have to on the scramble drill. But you got Slay, you got the other corners. Maddox is there. Like I understand what Philly has. Believe me, I picked them all the way through this.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
I respect you for not going against your guns. I do.
Yeah.
But it's one of the ones that
I just don't know how
we can
see
make it. We can see either way.
One winning, I can't.
Either way.
Yeah,
because it's not one of the Super Bowls where
we got another week to fully nail it down
and break it down.
But
we kind of discussed early in shows that my man feel like we have to do away with 2 national holidays and do one, and we need to. And I didn't agree before then. Come like it's the one I always took off of. Like when I was in school, I ain't never go to school. Second one, because it was only one at that time. Now we have 2. Everybody and their mother is signing early on the early signing day. To where now today was like it was boring. Like it's in the past. We talking about players coming 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm seeing the first kid to commit is gonna be at 1 o'clock. Everybody just signing. So there's no point. There's no point in having 2 signing days. If you're gonna have a signing day, just have that one around that window. But if you still want to open up to where kids can sign in February, just let them sign. Don't make it a whole deal and coverage when we're not covering anything really besides Nicole's Harbor committing to South Carolina at 1 o'clock. Deuce Robinson, then the 2024 kid. That's the biggest names today.
So what I spoke about early in our podcast, probably week 2 or week 3 of our podcast was honestly the last 10 days in the first week of last 10 days of July, so the 20th through the 31st, and maybe let's just say the 21st of July through August 4th, I think should be National Signing Day. The only way that you can wiggle out of that commitment is if your position coach, or your head coach or your coordinator leaves that school. So position coach, coordinator, or head coach leaves the school, then you can re-enter and come in for the final signing day in December.
So early signing day, July, August, before season starts type stuff. Then December coming because of Coach Carousel at the bowl games or have you. So have it late December before Or would it be best to have it early January? So because of sometimes these national championship coaches, they're starting to move around 2 position coaches, offensive coordinators moving around.
Okay, let's just have it. Let's just have it the Wednesday after Declaration Day for the NFL draft. Because Declaration Day for the NFL draft is usually around the 14th, 15th, and 16th of January.
Right. Yeah, I'm saying like the week after the national championship day when you start seeing those moves be made with the full extent, because you got those offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators now taking head coaching jobs elsewhere. So
because
I like that.
Because you still have the portal the next year, and you still have a lot of different things. Because the way that they kind of fix the portal, which I'm perfectly fine with, is that you have, and it gives the portal players time to have their time to shine too. So the portal players enter the portal the Monday or Tuesday after the regular season ends, which is basically the first weekend of December. And they get to have all that time through basically January 15th or 16th to find a school, because you can't, basically the first week of classes are done, add drop is done around the 14th or 15th of the month of January anyway. So then just have it after Declaration Day, have it on January 20th or after Martin Luther King holiday, something like that. And you can do that, give your portal players time, and then there's another portal period between April and the second week of May. You've kind of fixed the calendar by doing that. And another thing is too, a lot of players get recruited later during their actual senior season. So if you haven't committed before in that July-August period, then you'll have a lot more fanfare going into that signing day in January. So you have those, after you watch senior film, that 24/7 or On3 or ESPN 300 comes out, or Rivals and their recruiting service comes out with new rankings and the final rankings. So now you may have new 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever. Today, like you said, the Thunder was stolen and you only had 2 5 stars ready to commit. You only had 3 other blue chip players, which is 4 stars or better, commit. You didn't have that many 3 stars or 2 stars or anything like that.
Only name 3-star wise is Jamel Howard, defensive tackle, that started getting interest legit at the end of this month, January. For other schools like Miami putting on to him, like it was a Big Ten school, and other schools starting to try to make a big push. That's the only other buzz you got, because it wasn't all the buzz. Everything else was like we kind of can figure out, and all the crystal balls are in of where these kids are going, these young men are going. So
yeah, man, and it gives enough time too.
Because y'all had to commit today though, so that's one of the other ones that y'all had somebody commit today too.
Linebacker. Yeah. I'm not okay. I'm glad the guy had an opportunity to get at Florida State. That's great. But one of my favorite players in the state of Florida, actually in Palm Beach County, still hasn't signed. DJ Holmes. I'm trying to figure out why he ain't signed nowhere. He got a lot of sacks. I mean, like 19 sacks in 2021. I think he had like 20 in this year. And DJ Holmes has offers from Pitt, Vanderbilt, and BC, and a couple other places, and he still ain't signed. So what I'm getting at is, get away from the February signing day. Do January after the ad drop period is done. That way, guys who got picked up in the July-August period can early enroll. If you sign in that period, you have to early enroll. Unless your coach leaves, that's the only way you're let out of that.
Right.
But again,
that's what you're committing to.
If you're let out of that by Declaration Day of the NFL, then you have a nice little week to be re-recruited again.
That's right.
So you at least get another official visit out of the whole thing. I think it will give a nice little frenzy to the end of the year. It's during the NFL season, so guess what? You get all of that great coverage
at one time.
And at one time. So it just makes sense, because a lot of these young men are committing late July anyway.
Then signing in December.
We had, I think, 15 of our 23 commit before October.
Yeah, and on our back end, like we had guys rolling in, but when it came time in December, everybody signed but one, which is now at Colorado. But again, now you got kids that's really what's the big thing is kids want to early enroll if they can. Early enroll, so we're signing as early as we can so we get in the weight program, get the spring ball to try to get a jump on the competition, and let alone try to earn us a spot in playing rotation, not only a starting spot, but playing rotation. Some kids can come in based off needs and necessity and get a starting gig coming in, but others, if you come in early in the road, you can. I'm not saying you're gonna guarantee, but you can try to give yourself a chance to hit that 2 deep, 3 deep, and depending on the position, you're on the field. If you're in that 2 deep, 3 deep, and defensive line, you're on the field. 2 deep, 3 deep, linebacker.
But imagine being signed in July, August, being able to market that to whomever is willing to pay you to be at that school and actually market yourself while you're in high school. Like, yo, I'm already signed with your school. I'm committed. Now I can do branding for whatever place and whatever new area that I'm coming to. Like, that gives you a head start on a full, the final quarter of the year.
It takes a lot of focus off of the extra stuff that you have to do.
And then now you got to
can focus on ball type thing.
You can focus on ball as soon as you come in during the ad drop period and things of that nature. It just makes so much more sense because moving day, Black Monday or Black Sunday in college football is the day after the season. You know, a lot of coaches are being hired and fired and moving around, and then there's still coaching vacancies, but a lot of those are done by declaration day of the NFL draft. So that's what I'm getting at. Like, I just want to be factual on this and just pull up declaration date real quick. Declaration.
But I mean, as you're putting that up, before we get into the topic we want to talk about with college football, I'm happy, man. Why? Why do you think I'm happy? Why do you think I'm happy, man?
Because you
this is gone, man. Go ahead.
So declaration day was January 16th this year.
So last time we talked, the last couple weeks we've been talking about, man, what y'all gonna do with gas? What y'all gonna do with gas? Hey,
you ain't gonna like who you about to hire.
Hey, listen.
Who you think? Okay, so Gaddis is gone.
Nah, names wise, I've been getting the smoke and fanfare with Frost, but I'm seeing that sources saying Frost is not the guy. I'm hearing some smoke with Marcus Arroyo based off of ties in Oregon. So it's
he already got fired from UNLV.
No,
he need a job.
I know. It's not. We late to the party. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, in my mind, Chris ball based off whatever style that whoever comes and bring, are you gonna let them meet and bring that style here? Or are we gonna set try this power run, power spread type thing? That didn't work. You feel me? So I take anything as an upgrade because it's similar. It's sad. Guidance was similar to Dan Enyos year because we try to run that BS. I ain't say BS because it work at Bama because they get the players for it. You try to come in and bring a Bama culture to the University of Miami in the years that we just Miami.
Look,
we just Miami. You can't bring that there because you don't have the offensive line play to do that. And then that's when you had Jaron Williams and Nkosi. So it's not like you got no like studs in that position. So his year was similar to that year. And from what I'm seeing here, it's part of lack of production on field, but also not seeing eye to eye with players. So when I kept telling you kids saying, "Oh, it's not us," it's not him, it's us. We're just gonna make plays. I don't believe that.
Okay, here's my issue. Again, you grazed over it a little bit. I'm just gonna reiterate it from my perspective. This is really getting like a deja vu for it. I'm here for it because I would like to see Miami suffer.
Yes, man.
But I've seen this before. Timing is everything. If you're pulling this off with Gaddis now, right? It's too. Yeah, we'll see. But tick, 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 tick.
As far as what, just continuity, as far as
you're not
recruits, as far as
it's not a recruiting thing. It's a knowing what you're supposed to be doing thing. Right now, you're doing strength and conditioning. What are you strength and conditioning for as a system in the program? In the scheme, people don't realize this, but strength and conditioning marries with what type of ball you're running. What offense or defense you're running, right? They don't know what they're doing. They don't know where they're going.
They just going up to just listen,
exactly.
We're gonna work core workouts that we know just in order to get the body stronger in whatever aspect.
Because my offense is very tempo based, and we change tempo, and you got to have the conditioning. You got to be the lighter team. So my center at Florida State, as much as we want him to be bigger,
you got to stay that way because of conditioning purposes.
He's going to be that way because I would love him to be 300 pounds. He's 270. Mm-hmm. Even though he's 6'4", he's 270.
You got to stay that way for the scheme.
The scheme is too bleeping fast. Mm-hmm. And then you look at our previous instance, right? When we had Willie Taggart. Mm-hmm. Year one, Willie Taggart hires Walt Bell late January, early February. Okay.
And didn't really produce that great.
And he fired him by October of the following year, of the same year, first year. He didn't bring in another offensive coordinator until he got Kendall Brides around this time, the second year. Mm-hmm. And Kendall Brides was his first pick, but he couldn't because he was toxic. Remember, they had that issue over at Baylor with his dad, who his dad ended up getting cleared. This is like literally following the similar situation. So if he goes and gets Arroyo, who he wanted in the first place, but he had a job at UNLV, that's just repeating the cycle. And it's a totally different scheme, just like with Willie Taggart. When he fired Walt Bell, he also let go of the offensive line coach. Mm-hmm. You fired
Mirabal. We're not Mirabal. That's Ponce.
So Ponce went to Appalachian State, but you know he was fired. Mm-hmm. so it's like trying to say, hey, Mike Norvell didn't fire nobody. Yeah, but somebody went and got another job and you made a better hire.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I'm glad because you keep that continuity with your offensive line coach. And again, I think it's just more so we brought in the scheme.
But at least Arroyo's dealt with this offensive line coach. Mm-hmm. But again, if you're the offensive coordinator, that style doesn't fit TVD.
Well, it's on power spread.
It didn't fit Justin Herbert. So if it didn't fit Herbert,
that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't want to go that route. I want to say whoever you bring in,
it better not be James Coley because you already had him. And he was trash.
Unless that boy just hit another whale or something.
Oh my god!
I've seen that name too, man.
And I didn't like Frost because Frost is much like the Clemson guys. The offense he was running became stale, and if you watch Nebraska football, I gamble too much, so I look at all football. Nebraska gave up so many leads during his time. Every year, you could bank on it. There were 4 games that he would give up the lead in the second half. And people are like, the defense. You realize that the defense, even if they gave up a score, the offense got the ball back.
You weren't scoring.
You weren't scoring either. So if you're coming out slow and losing or coming out fast and losing, you're still blowing bleeping leads.
Yeah, man.
So I think you dodged a bullet by not getting Frost.
Oh, man, but
the time that you're losing
is really
what bothers me.
We have to get to the point.
Well, it ain't bothering me. I'm just letting you know.
Listen, we got to get to the point of realization, and I'm hoping we hear that, man, what you've been based on what you got, offensive line gets that you got, man, it's great. But with the right scheme, I should say, because you really you're shoring up that line. Like again, you're putting experience on it with Zion coming back healthy this year. Then you got Matt Lee in the middle, JV and Coleman, and then we're gonna figure out what goes on on the right side. You know what I mean? And so it's really like you put more experience on the line to try to shore it up in as many holes as you can because you had holes in the center spots, guard spots. Zion wasn't healthy, man. So it's so many holes in that line to where nobody's being protected. You can't run the ball. You can't do anything. It's terrible. We got the scheme with so many factors, but now you're making those necessary moves and changes to fix that up. So again, my mind is whatever style, as long as it's not a power spread, or if you feel like you can actually get that done based off of beefing up your line with more experience, and you feel like, okay, it could work, but again, at the same time, you lost receivers. I need to improve my receiver room. If I'm going to run that scheme, I got to improve my receiver room. That means I got to have an effective receiver coach. So that's somebody that you got to look for as well because Gaddis was the receiver coach as well. So now you got to find you a quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, and receiver coach. And so you got some hires that you have to make real soon, and you got to make some efficient hires because, again, if that means if Gaddis wasn't calling a great offense and then he ain't training the boys in the receiver room up right, you got to get somebody that can do it. So that's just my spill on them. We'll see. Again, I'm not more so, Miami finna go 10 wins because Gattis gone. No, I got to see what they bring in, what the scheme is.
Well, let's just talk about that a little bit because the ACC did y'all so right in how they set up y'all schedule.
I love it solely because now, like, so long as I renew my season tickets, these are the games I want to see. These are the games I want to go to. I want to see Texas A&M game at home. I want to see Clemson at home. These are big games that I have to see. You got Miami, Ohio first, Temple, TAMU, Cookman, and then it's an open date, correct?
Yeah.
No, Georgia Tech, then it's the open date.
No, you got Miami of Ohio, which you got right, Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
You got Bethune,
Temple.
Then you have Georgia Tech.
Yeah, we don't have
No, you have the open. You have the open, then Georgia Tech.
Okay.
And then you got North Carolina. This is where it gets a little hairy.
A little tougher. North Carolina, Clemson, UVA. And then I don't know the rest after that.
It's State, Florida State.
Yeah, I'm going to tally, man. I'm going to tally.
So
I'm going to tally.
Here's the kicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
You open up really, really nice. The ACC protected you in ways that they don't protect the school that, actually wins the ACC a lot. But either way.
Somebody Clemson?
Either way.
You talking about Clemson? That won the ACC a lot? You talking about Clemson?
I'm sorry, since we've joined the ACC, no one has won it more than Florida State. And Clemson has a 5-game losing streak against us overall since I've been born. But that's needed.
We got a 5-game losing against.
Florida State has a 5-game lead in the series.
Oh, in the series. Oh, I'm about to say they ain't got no 5-game losing streak.
So
I was here this year. I saw the Clemson and Florida State game this year. I know my eyes don't deceive me this year.
They set up. They basically the ACC, and I'm not complaining about Florida State.
Well, see,
because
can you say it's set them up bad? Because again, it's just the first rotation of a 4-year thing.
No,
it's just the first rotation of a 4-year thing because it can get real dicey next 2-3 years.
How they set up the games, they still, even though it can get dicey for y'all, like this schedule should be dicey for you. It's going to get dicey at the end, but getting dicey at the end means that you've had recruits in your class. And you won't face your first toughest matchup to my Sunday.
Is it a bad thing though?
It's a good thing for you.
Why is it such a bad thing?
Because the impact that it will have on your season. I'm sorry, your off season is not going to happen.
My whole thing is because essentially, right, based on what we have, this will be like a kind of coach. This kind of be normal, right? Because you're because you're gonna have normally this. Your cupcake first week, which is normally Cookman, so which I'm seeing is like that's a surprise that Cookman's not the first matchup because usually Cookman is first, right?
Y'all open up at home for 3 straight weeks.
I understand that, and that's kind of the aspect you're speaking of.
Not just that, well, that too. You open at home for the first 3 weeks, coming off of Texas A&M being absolutely garbage.
We was garbage. Let's not discredit that. We was trash. I mean, hot trash. They were more trash, but we was terrible.
But
we were terrible.
Here's the thing, though, they got a better win. But even still,
we were terrible.
With that being said, you got 3 straight home games. I want you to understand after you see what they did to us.
No, because like I said, for me, it's the normal, right? I'm sorry. Because again, these is like where we get our cupcakes. Remember, Southern Miss, Middle Tennessee.
I want you.
This is that with a regular schedule, right? So essentially, if you look at it through that way. That's normally what it is, and then you get your back end where you're seeing Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State.
Maybe we're never really this far back.
But it's rare. Now, it's rare that y'all that far back in the schedule.
I think that it is the latest we've ever played.
No, because we played November 2 or 3 years ago.
Not this late in November.
The second week?
November
11th?
We're third week.
November 11th? That's second week?
We ain't been this late.
Because the 4th is going to be that first Saturday, so that's second week of November.
Bro, you played on the wedding week. If you're talking about what I'm thinking, you're talking about that was the wedding weekend on my home wedding. That was the 4th.
So now I'm saying we played November. I can't go back 2-3 to tell you like it's like they.
So here we go. Right?
Who's North Alabama? I don't like that.
This is how FSU opens up. Our first home game.
I did last year.
No, it ain't this bad.
No, I'm saying I did last year.
I get this with LSU. LSU is not a home game. It's in Orlando.
No, that is bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. That is bad. 4th week. That is bad.
We get
that is bad.
Not only that, we don't even get a bye week before Clemson.
Yeah, that's bad.
We are away, and we don't get a bye week before Clemson. Now, after that,
it kind of get vanilla for you.
Yeah,
in the middle spot because you got BT, Syracuse, Duke, but Duke had an okay year.
Duke has never beaten us.
Yeah, then Wake Forest they lost Sam Hartman.
Yeah, but even still,
And then, like I said, so it's like y'all get y'all toughness in the beginning, but it get vanilla towards the end for y'all.
And then we get our in-state rivals, 2 of the last 3 weeks of the season.
Right, and this again, I get where you're coming from, but it's like you have to
8 home games after October.
It's like, but see, look, because
one home game.
It's the dynamic now. What it is, like the way they have to put it based off of that. Because if you think about it, right? Because Mac Brown complained about his schedule and the way his schedule.
His schedule was horrible too.
He complained.
But and it's not as bad as Florida State, but this is what they did for Clemson, right? Mm-hmm. They got Duke Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm. That's tune-up. That's tune-up. Then Charles Southern, then FAU. You got 3 tune-ups.
And then they get a week off before they play us.
Yeah, they get the bye. They get the bye. But listen, that's bad. Look, that's sweet for them because they get 3 tune-ups and a bye.
And a bye.
So we talking about us. We talking about Miami.
And we gotta go to Clemson.
That's what I'm saying. But you talking about Miami? Is this not sweet?
It's not as sweet. This is the thing, though.
This is sweet.
On Miami side of things, because A&M is trash. We already understand it,
right?
But
again, I can't sit here and say that's good and bad because we were terrible.
You don't have a hard game before you get to Carolina.
We don't, and I get you. But again,
and you have 1, 2, 3
home games. Then you go to Temple.
4 home games out of 5.
And I hear you, but at the same time too,
4 out of 5.
At the same time too, it's a stretch. Now our stretch starts here with North Carolina, Clemson.
But it won't matter. The impact of the season.
I get you.
I get losing the games and not
I get you, but
possibly making.
I think what it is the fact that somebody's gonna be mad. It's one of the things that somebody's gonna be mad.
All you had to do was flip one game.
But see, I think this is the growing pains of a new format. So the way we do it and put it, everybody is because it's North Carolina joint.
No, but South Carolina they always play.
But this is where
South Carolina
I get them. That's why I get them, and they put them on to the test last year. Appalachian State.
These were all locked in. They couldn't do anything about that. They set themselves.
That's non-conference because you got to play conference play. You have to.
So I get why they would be mad, but here's the kicker with the one with Florida State, right? Mm-hmm. All they had to do
is flip your bye week. That's how you feel.
All they had to do was put Virginia Tech up here to give us 2 home games in the month of September.
I know. Like I said, I think. Listen, I really think again, it's just a format.
All you have, but they could have done that
because you got your regular 4, you got your regular matches, I guess, for the 4 years, but then you play because you're playing everybody. You're gonna play everybody within the span, but you got your regular opponents.
Giving us that game, putting Virginia Tech at home after coming back from Boston College on September 23rd and putting Clemson after our bye at Clemson on October 7th.
I hear you. I'm not saying you're wrong.
That is the relief that
I just can't I just think again, it's
the rest of the schedule is
just making team. I didn't even know it was a team.
North Alabama, they got a good team.
I didn't even know that was a team.
They're as good as a lot of teams that we've played in this type of level. It's not going to be a cakewalk. They have a really good offense. But that is my problem with the schedule. Just one game flipped. Virginia Tech in that spot where it's not going to change. But even if you want to make the argument, hey, we expect Florida State and Clemson to play in the ACC title game, so we want it to be so far away to where they're 2 different teams. Switching that by 2 weeks ain't gonna change that narrative.
I'm just at the point understand this. It's gonna be a cake for some team. Because we look at some other teams. It might even be even easier. You know what I mean? And I just think it's just the way it's going. And so maybe like 2, 3, it might be out have a cakewalk in the beginning and then turn up in the end. Or I don't know. I have to see it. This is the first time. This first year for us. I gotta see it.
But the way that the schedule's set up is just a little awful for me when it comes to that part. I think that Florida State, they have to play them at Utah. Here's the thing I'm just saying about it. The game's got to be played. I'm confident in my team. I'm not really mocking the schedule. But, again, we got to get through the offseason. Everybody, I hope and pray that every team is just healthy so that these games can turn out how we think they're going to turn out.
Big 3 on top again. That's one thing.
And plus, I want to just be able to watch good film and figure out what games or who's going to win. But with UF and their schedule and the current roster that they have constructed before the next portal period,
it's tough for them boys.
They got Utah, then they get a game against McNeese State, then they get Tennessee, then they get Charlotte, who they almost lost to before, then they get Kentucky, who they just lost to, but they're without Will Levis. But guess who they bring in? A better quarterback, Devin Leary. Vanderbilt, who just beat them, same quarterback is going to be back. South Carolina, same quarterback's coming back, but this time he has a revenge tour because he got his behind smacked. They get a bye week like you're supposed to, even though it's Georgia. They still get a bye week before Georgia.
There you go.
And then Arkansas, then they get LSU, Missouri, then they close out with Florida State. So they got a tough back half of that schedule. Again, we got to watch film. We got to get healthy. We got to see. There's still a lot of roster movement that's going to happen in this stretch. But as the schedules are being put out, one thing I can say is the team that has the toughest schedule in the state is going to be UF. Let's pull up UCF because now they're a Power 5 team.
Right, and they got to get used to that competition on a week in, week out basis.
Yeah, exactly. UCF schedule. So UCF schedule got put out, and look, I'm not knocking them at all. I think that it's manageable, but again, they get a nice little cakewalk week 1 against South Carolina State.
No, that's last year.
Oh, sorry, that's last year. Sorry, let me go to 2020. Sorry.
They might because I tried to do cooking schedule today just to see, and I couldn't go to 223 on England website.
Nope, got it. So they get a week 0 game against Kent State.
Mm-hmm.
Then they don't play until after Labor Day weekend against Boise, who just joined the Big 12.
God.
Villanova, another easy schedule.
No, this next 3.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So K-State with their new running back, Trayshawn Ward from Florida State.
Oh my God.
Baylor with a bounce back year, hopefully for Dave Miranda's sake.
Kansas
with the coach that they had this year,
Leopold. OU West Virginia. Oh my God. Them boys is going to be in for one.
Cincinnati with a new head coach.
Oh my goodness. Oklahoma State, Texas Tech.
Utah. Houston. So they're used to playing Houston, so that's not a big deal. Cincinnati, they're used to playing them, but that's a tough team. And then the Big 12 title game. So this is a step up in competition, UCF.
A step up?
Look, all I'm saying is
Norman step up?
2017 national champions.
You're going to find out what y'all hear about. You're going to find out this is what we want for so long. We want to see y'all play consistent competition.
Hey, you're on the Gus bus.
Yeah, nah. So we got 9 minutes left. We try to get y'all out of here in an hour, and we got to get back to something that. So, news came out recently these past couple of days that Nick Saban turns down a recruit for reportedly $1.3 million, right?
Per year.
Now, I would say names.
A defensive back.
I would say
who
names.
was on the market.
Yeah, man.
After being wishy-washy about their recruitment in December and January.
These boys gotta be connected. That's crazy.
I'm just saying, and they were being recruited, and all of a sudden, they're not being recruited, and they wear colors of black, gold, and white in the mountains of Caucasus. Caucasus. That is a Slavic baby that they're going up there to see.
That baby got a credit score of 720 right now.
I should be calling those students, sir. He asked for $1.3 million from Nick Saban, and he said, what?
Yeah, nah, we don't need you that bad. I'll go get somebody else for that. Essentially, that's what he said. I'll get
black and gold.
Something else. That's what D.L. said. I'll do something else. Yeah, that's essentially what happened.
And then Saban again on a second occurrence. You can figure out who it is.
He kicked somebody out of the program, and then he came through because he wanted what was it, $800,000, and then to get his girlfriend into Bama at law school. Yeah, not bad. Saban said, "Boy, I don't play that mess with y'all."
And he was a nice little protection piece. It had all the starts,
but everybody can be replaced. And that's what Saban said. They locked up number 1 class and shit anyway. He don't care. He gonna do it. They said he rebuilt 2 years ago. That's okay. Last year wasn't a rebuild year. The rebuild year last year was 2 years ago.
Was it a rebuild year? Any of those years? Because they almost made the playoff again.
That's what I said that, and you argued me that was a rebuild year. Now you telling me they almost made the playoffs. I'm trying to told you. Bama don't rebuild, they reload, bro. I don't care what they say was a rebuild. You weren't as good as you normally is this year, so now it's rebuild. You miss me with that. Just how you told the recruits, miss me with that. You can miss me with that because I don't play that.
Look, all I'm saying is the mountains of Caucasus and the beaches of South Florida got a couple players
that should have been that Bama. They humbled themselves.
I ain't even saying
your girlfriend should have been getting law school herself. Come on now.
Now he want not just get in. I want to pay.
I want to go to law school in Bama anyway.
It's a really good law school, actually.
No.
It's not as good as Florida State. But
No,
it's good.
I'm just talking about the environment.
Because Tuscaloosa is the capital of Alabama.
Yeah, no, I'm not going.
That's where the power is, man.
Yeah, it's a power. It's some power, but we're not gonna say what kind of power, but it's some power.
At least it's not God's NIL. Yo, that boy Dabo is a trip. We don't have NIL. We got God's NIL. And all of a sudden, we find out that they giving money through the church.
On that note,
oh, let's wrap this up because we got to do it. Congratulations to the GOAT, Tom Brady, on your retirement.
That's facts, man.
It looks like he's getting his family back because he was on the beach doing his retirement.
I ain't gonna lie to you. That look like Tampa to me.
Look like Miami.
I want to say it look like Palm Beach.
Yeah, it looked like
off of
on the island.
Ocean Reef.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he healed, but I'm like that. Those buildings, unless it's an infrastructure and how it look is consistent amongst these intercoastals.
And when being stretched to be a little 30 miles a little bit north, where your ex-wife, is trying to get back your marriage.
I swear I seen those buildings before, and I'm going to go to the beach and put the
Giselle
video side by side.
Giselle was in South Florida taking pictures 2 days ago, caught on the beach. I'm just saying, man, go get back your wife. Congratulations on your
I got mine.
And that's the Spot the Ball podcast. Speaking from the Love Month, also Black History Month. Black of the Black, y'all.
Hey, my kids watching Our Friend Martin this much, maybe about 3 times, maybe. I may have watched 3 times. They gonna learn about Our Friend Martin and take notes and write 10 answers.
Also link in the bio for Girl Scout cookies. Go and get them for my babies.
My man said he moved 200 packs. I don't know how legal that is, but he moved 200 packs. He want my money.
You know what I'm talking about.
Listen, he want my money, but I don't know. I'm trying to not be an accomplice to accessory of
we ain't RICO charges,
distribution and racketeering. I don't know, but yes,
we ain't passing no drugs.
Buy the tray fours and dosey-dos from I Love Millions. This is your boy Willie Love III. This is my main guy,
Ron Wells, the Cookie Man,
and this has been another rendition of the Spot the Ball podcast. Until next time, we will see y'all next week.
How we going, y'all? All right, let's get